MLB is in truly perilous times. The baseball world may still be humming along as if nothing's wrong, but storm clouds approach in the distance. The thunderclaps a phrase. CBA. It's expiring after this postseason, and considering the cordiality of past negotiations, it may be a long one. Baseball can't afford it, but it can distract itself with an October for the ages. Let's meet the contenders for ourselves. To the surprise of only those who weren't paying attention, Tampa Bay continues to treat the unbelievable as if it's routine. They are the robot that has replaced all of its severed parts with either tree limbs or used stem cells to regrow them. How else can you explain the constant shuffling of pieces with somehow stronger ones? Their pitching staff is injured to hell and forced to rely on rookies and journeymen. Oh, here's the Shane Boss that we found lying around our minor league system. Was apparently in the same place Wander Franco was. Who knew? Tampa Bay doesn't try to overcompensate for their cheap payroll. They know who they are. A team of balance and structure. A group where any player can emerge as a legitimate weapon to their postseason hopes. Despite the odds, they keep succeeding. But that doesn't seem to be the case on the ownership front. They are really going to go ahead with this Tampa Bay-Montreal fusion shit. Them getting home field advantage is a curse. You think Tropicana's terrible? Just watch what happens if the Rays try to move into Olympic Stadium. Everyone with a brain already knows how this is going to go. Montreal is too scarred to get a team sloppy seconds. I take everything I've said about them back. I hope they fail for as long as they try this fucking stunt. Chicago is loaded with talent. That has never been questioned. When you're throwing out a murderous row of weapons like Robert, Grandal, Jimenez, Anderson, Abreu, and Moncada to attack pitchers, I'd say you're in good hands. The pitching, however, has had some bumps in the road. We don't know for certain if Carlos Rodon is going to be active, and if he is, he might not be at full strength. Craig Kimbrell hasn't been as dominant as he was a few miles north. Dallas Keuchel, among others, is mired in a deep slump. Mr. Giolito, we're going to have you carry the pitching staff until Rodon is fully healthy. Just as long as we can get to Kimbrell and Hendricks by the 7th or 8th inning. Even then, something still has me reserved about them. They don't seem to be playing up to their potential. I'm looking at them suspiciously. Not for some question marks on the mound, but how much of their success was due to being in such a shitty division? We've seen this movie before with the Indians. They breeze through the regular season with a strong record and then have an October to remember by means of being smashed by a legit contender. And those teams were talented as well. La Russa, don't you dare fuck this up. I'm watching you. Redemption Tour 2021. This is the year they have to prove an exorbitant amount. That they can win without the stench of a cheating scandal lingering. That they can overcome the loss of George Springer's bat in the postseason. And that their young rotation can take that next step as a unit. This team hasn't skipped a beat since losing one of their leaders in free agency, but they need one thing to re-legitimize themselves. Another piece of metal. The first one was cursed with darkness. They must grind in the dungeons and slay monsters until they drop another. Houston is a team of intrigue, and their talent can take them places few can dream of. Regardless, there will be many doubters and those wishing them nothing but misery. Even for all of the hatred and relentless dunking on Yankees fans, Zach Greinke is waiting. His legend grows with every strikeout, yet there is one thing he needs to cement his legacy. If you're going to try and speedrun this championship, you need the RNG to work out in your favor. Try to exploit a few bugs. Legally, I mean. I can't say I necessarily expected Boston to do anything this season. Considering how rough the last few years were, the mess that was the pitching staff, the renewed passions of cheapness in the ownership realm, bringing back Alex Cora despite the stench of trash cans, perhaps stewing in the muck for a bit brought them back to their old form. At peak, they're really good. A core of Bogarts, Devers, and revived JD with a healthy chorus around them. The bullpen slinging themselves from terra-bad to terrifying. Surprisingly reliable starting pitching. Here's my issue with them then. Can everything keep up with the rest of the AL? I trust their bats, but I'm still a bit iffy on their arms due to past experiences. They fell off a good bit after their strong start. They shouldn't have been on the brink of elimination, yet the Sox have survived. Chris Sale is back much to their delight, but can he handle an October workload this quickly? It might be house money for them, but they'll take another deep run. You can only hope that Kyle Schwarber faces his most nutritious prey in October. The New York Mets. Are there any former ones still alive out there? I'm impressed. At the All-Star break, I thought Atlanta was Blacked.com style fucked. With all the key injuries they had, no Acuna, In that division, figured it was going to be a sad goodbye to a lost season. That adversity, however, created resilience. In a division that kept self-destructing, the Braves are the last men standing. The rest of the team has picked up the slack that their franchise face had carried. Their outfield has been reshaped into a balanced unit. The infield is performing at peak levels. Pitching has been relatively sound with the bullpen rounding into form. Despite the shit thrown at you, you still have to play the games. And this is what Atlanta has embraced in this run. Even then, I wonder if this team has the ability to beat the big boys without Acuna. I think they'll be competitive, but my fear is that they just don't have enough. A pitching staff of Morton and Fried is intimidating, but is it sufficient? I wouldn't mind being proven wrong, though. Same goes for Freddie Freeman, whom I think is gone after this season. He talks the right game, but let's see how loyal he is when another team offers him a mega deal. That pitching. Holy shit. It is elite. One look at some of the names and seasons that have blessed Wisconsin will emphasize that. You go from Corbin Burns to Brandon Woodruff to Adrian Hauser to Freddie Peralta to Eric Lauer in a rotation. A team is spoiled for riches. And that's not even getting into the shutdown form of Josh Hader. Milwaukee has the pitching core to make a deep run this year. It's emerged into a form that rivals some of the best teams in baseball history. Should be a slam dunk, right? Not with the lineups they're trotting out. It's okay. There isn't a true superstar performer of this bunch. Quality role players, but nobody that's gonna grab this team by the balls and carry them to the World Series. Yelich, this is your time to shine. Willy Adames has been excellent, but he's unable to do it alone. The pitching just can't drag this team kicking and screaming. They need balance. Don't feel too bad, Milwaukee. Despite the questions, this season has been a tremendous success for the Brew Crew. This calls for punching a wall in celebration. If your hand hurts, that's great. You're in solidarity with Devin Williams. You're now free to punch that wall with your other hand. I've now come to an epiphany. The San Francisco Giants are not a team. They are the real-life enactment of the natural. Old men as far as the eye can see. Athletes in the allegedly declining years of their careers. Former World Series legends. Other franchises' former legends. Cast-offs. Dudes I thought were dead. Carl Yastrzemski implanting his soul into his grandson. An elite pitching staff full of millennials and the latest advances in baseball science. There's no other explanation for this besides an underground cybernetics department. An army of $60 million men. Make these faded players faster, stronger, better. Equip them with an arsenal of Wonder Boys. Let them run amok around baseball. The Giants have learned the dark arts, but they are still novices at it. It could backfire horrifically if the spells are miscast. Regardless of if they come short, they have somehow transported the even-year goodness to an odd one. And that in itself is a stunning development. Go the distance, you old bastards. Do it for the chaos. We almost had the league fall down to its knees. A 100-plus win team having to suffer through the bullshit of the wildcard game would have been hilarious. But alas, the Dodgers are far too talented and flush with depth to suffer defeat at the hands of necromancers. There isn't much to be said that hasn't been before. LA has some of the best player development and scouting in the game. They use their advantages and endless cash reserves to build a team worthy of the gods. And it's mostly done on the farmer's scrap heap. If things don't go their way, well, the Dodgers just use their prospect pool to go out and get Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Nothing insane like moving heaven and earth to one-up the Padres. The goal this time is to prove last year wasn't a Mickey Mouse championship handed to them by COVID regulations. Legitimacy is the name of this game. And what does that? More championships. Even then, there are many hurdles to jump over this year. Trevor Bauer added being suspended by baseball itself as one of his many fetishes. A repeat performance of playoff Kershaw will not be in the cards. He's out for October and it may be his last year in Dodger blue. Max Muncy is also out, but there is a possibly foolish optimism that he'll be available later on. Team depth will be tested in ways never thought before. Although if there's a group to survive this onslaught, it's this one. One of the worst things I do is make predictions on who will make it to a league's championship. It always backfires, but you know something? Giving up on it means failure. And I don't like to fail. Come on, let me pretend that I have some success in life. Jesus. The baseball gods are rigid. They have shown that they don't like chaos, as a potential 3- or 4-way tie for the AL wildcards was undone. May I also cite the double magic of the Cardinals being banished back to hell. So for this World Series, I'm going with a grudge match. A trip back to 2017 with vengeance on the mind for both. Astros versus Dodgers. LA wants blood. Let them have their shot at it. And if Houston wins, oh lord, the baseball world is going to melt. Either way, no one outside the home city likes the winner. I want to watch the world burn. Grant me my wish.
Reyes fires, swing and a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Welcome on.